blue bass booming in the bottom of the basement. Bone dance. There's a blue bass booming in the bottom of the basement. Bone dance. There's a blue bass booming in the bottom of the basement. Bone dance. There's a blue bass in the bottom of the basement. Bone dance. There's a blue bass.
Hey friends, Jordan Woods Robinson here from AMC's The Walking Dead and Blue Man Group, and this is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, grab some gluten-free, non-GMO popcorn, and let's dive into the world pop culture bliss.
I'm Kier.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Jay from Gallifrey Public Radio,
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to right now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
By the power of Grayskull, Autobots, transform. Excelsior!
All right, and welcome everyone. This is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop. Oh my God, this is science fiction meets the pop culture. It's the pop culture people on Sunday nights, and we are live here. Oh my gosh, Lindsay Badger.
I have returned.
Wait, where
Back from the dead.
She is back.
Back from the dead.
I am back from the grave. I have risen. You guys, I've missed you so much. I know I was hanging out in the chat room the last couple of weeks because I was deathly ill with a touch of pneumonia.
Oh.
So it was probably my best podcast voice. So I'm glad you boys took the reins, rocked it. I thoroughly enjoyed both shows. That
I heard the pneumonia is pretty bad.
Yeah, they're being spread around by gnats. So.
Pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that your pneumonia is feeling better.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, it's pretty much gone. I've got a little bit of a cough. You'll probably see me mute here or there. Otherwise, we are trudging on. I did see the movie, so I'm excited to tell you guys what I think about it. I'm excited to hear about what you guys think about it. gonna be a good show.
Well, if you're wondering where Mike is down here in Florida visiting, so he's having some awesome time with his amazing family over at the happiest place on earth at Disney. So we love you, Mike, and he will be back on the next episode of PopXcast. But guys, are you ready to get the ball rolling on this week's episode 72?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live right here on the PopX.live chat room channel. Come hang out with us and join the conversation and all things else more nerdy and geeky. PopXcast.com.
And I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian Geek at heart. If you guys missed episode 71, our top 5 origin films from Team PopX in honor of Black Panther, check our official website at popxcast.com for this and other great past shows from PopX.
Oh, wait, Lindsay gets to do hers this week. Okay.
I get to do my part. I'm so excited. Well, first of all, I'm really sad that I missed last week's episode because I was very excited about the topic. I'll have to share sometime later with y'all.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. But, you know, as you already know, I am Lindsay Badger, your favorite geeky okie. And be sure you guys head over to Google Play or iTunes after tonight's show's over and click the subscribe button. Make sure you catch up on any of the amazing shows that you have missed from the PopX archive, or you can just rewatch some because they're awesome.
There's a plethora of topics to choose from in the PopX video archive. Now, I do want to take a quick second, right quick. Go ahead, Lindsay. I don't want to interrupt you.
I was going to say that while you're there kicking back, chomping on the popcorn, listening to the good stuff, make sure you leave us a rating of 5 stars because you know you love us that much.
That's a lot of stars.
Nice about us while you're there. That would be super sweet.
I don't settle for 5. I want 100.
I
don't want.
Just turn it up to 11.
I don't like putting limits on things.
Oh, stars!
I don't like it. No, I'm just saying. You guys, we got one job. No, anyway. So I do want to say this right quick before we carry on into this week's news topics, that if you are watching this right now live and you're over on our YouTube channel or you're listening in whatever platform device that you might be doing, I do want to say pause right a minute and click the share button. Click the share button, okay?
Yes.
You don't have to pause what we're saying. Click the share button. Put this out on your Twitter, your Instagram, and your Facebook page. Let people know that we're actually doing a live show, live streaming this thing right here on YouTube every other Sunday night, okay?
I
so
want
do
to
that
meet
for
new
me.
friends.
I do.
I like friends.
We need new friends.
I like friends. Friends are good.
Why can't we be friends? Okay. So, all right, with that said, let's kick it back. You guys, don't go nowhere. PopX News coming up to you right now.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live, right here on PopXcast.com.
Alrighty, and leading us off on the top of the list this week. Now, it's still a little bit business as usual for the X-Men movie universe, as 20th Century Fox is kind of slowly working on a major new film with 2 longtime veterans of the franchise. Now, 20th Century Fox has hired Brian Michael Bendis. What? To write a script for director Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. Let me just stop right there. Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. Though little is known about the project at this point, it does have a working title, 143. Could that mean X-Men issue number 143? I don't know. We may
Maybe
have to
there's
cross.
143 mutants.
Oh, that would be fantastic, because there probably is about at least that many or more in the X-Men universe. So this will be Miller's return to the X-Men franchise after bringing the Merc with the Mouth to the big screen with Mr. Ryan Reynolds. Now, the director left early in pre-production of Deadpool 2 after creative differences, as they're calling it, and was replaced by John Wick, the Atomic Blonde director, and David Leitch. So thoughts and what are your thoughts on this about X-Men and 20th Century Fox creating a new X-Men project? Thoughts, Austin? Is there anything that's coming to your mind in this?
Well, I mean, Joe, you probably know what I'm going to say.
Bring it.
143 is a nod to a very famous, this is, all rumors, but a very famous X-Men storyline revolving around Kitty Pryde. And a couple of months ago, there was a rumor that Tim Miller was interested in a Kitty Pryde movie. Now, I'm not one for making assumptions, but if you put 2 and 2 together, you get 4. And I believe we are getting a standalone story for Kitty Pryde in the X-Men universe. Now, this is something that I don't think any of us were really expecting, but Joe, I'm sure you know a little something about this storyline. If you go into it and you dive deep into what this is about and how cool it could be and how it could have even like a horror vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
I like this. Are they bringing back Ellen Page, I believe is her name, from X-Men to play Kitty Pryde again? Are they recasting? This is interesting. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, Kitty Pryde's been around in the comics since, I think, January 1980.
Wow.
How did I know? Wait, okay. So, where does that come from? I don't know. So anyway, don't have questions. But Kitty Pryde has an amazing plethora of abilities where she can do things like Jean Grey, but she can also manipulate matter like Silver Surfer. So she can walk through things, and so she has so many abilities. I don't want to put her in the I don't want to put her in the category of Legion, because Legion is in a total category of his own. But Kitty Pryde can harness her powers, whereas Legion cannot control his powers. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that puts her immediately above the rest. And so I didn't really follow as much Kitty Pryde's story because the X-Men that I followed was the Jim Lee version of X-Men that came out in 92, 93. So that's kind of, got to remember I was only like 11 years old, 12 years old when that first came out. So I'm just literally like, oh, this is X-Men. This is great. There's a guy with claws and a big guy that's made of metal and all of this.
Here's what I think about it. I like the fact that they are not rehashing the same 8 characters over and over. They are introducing new character storylines that people are not nearly as familiar with. So you're learning more of a vast, cornucopia of mutancy, I guess.
Something just came to my mind as you were talking there, Lindsay. Okay. And I need to probably mention this. And this is a big one. If they go this way, this is a big one. Do you know who Kitty Pryde considers her husband to be?
I don't even know who Kitty Pryde is, so this is going to be all new for me.
Star-Lord.
Oh, snap.
Oh, no way. Oh, I didn't even know that.
So if it comes to fruition...
And Disney and Fox... Joe! Oh,
if Disney and Fox have a baby, it's gonna be Kitty Pryde.
No, but she works a lot with the Guardians of the Galaxy and some of the storylines, and she falls in love with Star-Lord.
Wow. Okay, that is awesome. I didn't know that.
So let me
actually
cross-reference that because I want to make sure that
intergalactic superheroes. Anyways, do they just kind of have a bar that they go to, or is there like swipe left or? How does that work?
So according to Comic Vine, she was one of the main cast of characters that depicted in the original Excalibur title. Remember Excalibur, the mutants? And then after joining Guardians of the Galaxy, she assumes her fiancé's superhero identity as the Star-Lord.
Wow.
Wow. So that's... She is.
Well, I mean, Kitty Pryde never really had a nickname. Like you got Wolverine, you got Cyclops, and then her name is Kitty Pryde. I mean, she never actually. Okay, so that's awesome.
Superhero-y.
Okay, so there's your nerd nugget for the day.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke. Right?
Okay.
We already get nerd nuggets, baby. But yeah, overall, I think that's a cool story idea. And Marvel, I mean,
it could work out.
What else can we say? Let's move on to DC.
Move on.
All right. Nobody is more impressed by Matt Ryan's continued success as John Constantine. Guys, this is a long time after that show has been canceled, and we are still talking about it, a role that he will reprise on DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Then Daniel Caron, the executive producer who oversaw NBC's Constantine, he says, I don't know if I've ever seen an actor so completely bring to life an established comic book character, and this is really high praise, guys, as Matt Ryan did for John Constantine. Wow. He also says between the NBC series and his appearances on CW, it would feel strange to see or hear anyone else in that role at this point. So I ask you guys, how do you feel about him in this role, and are you excited to see him continuously come back?
Well, me personally, I'm a huge fan of Constantine. I think Constantine is one of those characters where he's almost like the Doctor Strange of the Marvel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because of the mysticism, the dark arts, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think Constantine, and you're right, there is no other. I mean, yes, Keanu Reeves did it back in the film series back in the 2000s, but I got to be honest with you, when Matt Ryan came along and actually did his one-shot series that NBC decided to kill, which was actually a really good show. Yes. So I think Matt Ryan was actually born for the role of Constantine. I think he is Constantine. Personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I love it when they bring back characters that were loved but not necessarily a huge hit.
Yeah.
But their roles important in telling a really good story, as long as there's a place for them that makes sense and they're not forced into a storyline just to get more screen time.
Right.
I think it works. Like Captain Frost, for example.
Yeah.
When they did that switch up crossover, whatever.
Yep.
It was a little weird for me, but I was so excited to see him back because I loved him so much in The Flash and in all the other ones where he showed up. I always got excited to see him.
It's almost like the original Firestorm, too. Remember the original Firestorm? And he came back?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there he is. Okay, he's back.
So it gets you excited to have a little bit of a shakeup with seeing somebody that you're familiar with, but it's not something you see every single time. So
I think that's the beauty of Legends of Tomorrow is they're bringing back these characters. You see it, for example, with the rumors. I don't know if this has been confirmed yet, but Wally is going to be a main character of Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, they're bringing all of these obscure characters that may or may not have filled the role completely in their respective shows, but fans still love them.
Yeah.
And now you have a show based on these characters. I mean, that's just so cool to me. And the fact that CW can do this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And those B characters can live in Legends of Tomorrow very comfortably. And the storylines are all the time so well written. And it's a great show. I mean, let me tell you, there is no comic book that has DC's Legends of Tomorrow. There is none of that. This is actually a show that was created as a spinoff because fans kept wanting to see the White Canary, and everybody come back together in Firestorm. It's like, what happened to Firestorm? And so this kind of gave them, and then you had, Captain Cold and Heatwave. You had those two come back, and so it was just kind of making sense. But so moving on with the news, Lindsay Badger, what do you got for us this week?
Oh, my goodness. Well, this is something a little bit different. We may have mentioned it back last March. You may have remembered that there was a Five Nights at Freddy's movie that was confirmed to be in the works.
Creepy.
You guys know this movie, right? I know Joe's played this movie.
Oh, man.
The characters are kind of
I've played the game
too.
so much, you have no idea.
It's a really popular little game.
It's the scariest. It's horrible.
The announcement came and went, and then it was radio silence followed for almost about a good year now. And we've learned that Chris Columbus, he worked on Harry Potter and The Help, has officially signed to write, direct, and produce this film. The movie will be coming from Blumhouse.
Oh my God!
Yes,
Blumhouse.
And the game designer Scott Cawthorn will reportedly act as co-producer along with Columbus.
Oh, let's just stop for a second. Blumhouse.
Dude,
you're getting a horror icon mega company. I mean, Blumhouse is Insidious? Is it not The Conjuring? Is it The Conjuring?
No? They did Insidious. They did Sinister.
The Purge.
They did The Purge. I believe. Did they do I think they might have done Conjuring. Maybe. I'm not 100%.
I can't really remember, but my God, what
and they did Split. They have done
Split.
Some great things.
You're right.
In the last few years. So, and Chris Columbus. Now he did direct Pixels, so let's just wipe that out of our minds. But everything else that he has done has been.
Can we just
so
call him
crazy.
Christopher Columbus for
Christopher Columbus? I do think
1492 I sailed from this.
Oh my God, he's been alive for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
what
he's 700 years old now. Anyway. Oh my God, we're going off a tangent. That's
I hope
funny.
you two enjoy this movie. I will probably be sitting out. I am not a scary movie person at all.
See,
I am the biggest baby when it comes to that stuff.
I was such a weird kid growing up, Lindsay, because, You know,
I know.
my dad, we're at a time before there was no PG-13 or there was no rating system on a smart hub on your television. So I would go at night and watch Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and all these Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like an 8-year-old kid, then I wake up at 3 a.m. screaming my brains out because I'm
Okay,
somebody
let me
chasing
tell
me.
you how much of a wimp I am. I remember as a kid staying up late enough to watch Tales of the Crypt and being scared. Oh my mind. Okay.
Tales of the Crypt Keeper.
Really bad, really bad horror.
Oh man.
Nonetheless, I still have nightmares of that creepy little skeleton guy.
I love the Tales from the Crypt guy. He would come on.
Well, don't you think that Robbie's having a bad day today?
He's like, no, please.
Oh, but anyway, you know, Blumhouse doing this film, Five Nights. Now, I'm a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I have like 3 of the games on my iPad right now, and I mean, freaking awesome game. And it did make a cultural phenomenon. Actually, as a matter of fact, I had the privilege when I was in Las Vegas a year and a half ago for the Fright Dome that they do at Circus Circus. Alex and I, my wife and I, actually did the Five Nights at Freddy's walkthrough horror house. Let me tell you something. You couldn't tell which one was an actual animatronic dummy or a human because the movements were just so on point in that house. It was freaky.
Yeah,
freaky.
that's horrifying.
It was horrifying, yeah. But I'm excited for this movie, to say the least. All right, guys, we're going to move on here to the next one here. We have fans are excited to see Captain Marvel hit the big screen, but soon they'll also get to take her to the slopes. What does that mean? Well, right now we have the Olympic Winter Games, and Michaela Schifrin will be wearing a Captain Marvel-themed ski suit at the Winter Olympics this year. Now, I think the Winter Olympics are wrapping up this week, right? They're wrapping up this week. And so there's still maybe time to catch her on live on TV, but the suit includes the popular red, blue, and gold design with some red boots to match. Now, it's encouraging to see that the character get this kind of love, and hopefully it also translates to the big screen box office as well. So it's kind of a nice little, well, Marvel Comics is one of my endorsements. And I'm like, what? That's kind of cool, right?
Let me just write that on my resume.
Yeah.
Marvel is gonna get like, because there's a big fan base for the Olympics, and they're Captain Marvel. Then the movie comes out, and people's like, I guess I should go see that.
Well,
that's awesome, man.
Then you have some people in the theater. Why is she wearing the suit of that girl that was on the Olympics?
Shouldn't she be a skier?
Shouldn't she just be skiing or something? I mean, what's wrong with her? But anyway,
oh boy,
that'll happen. That's all right. Whatever.
I know, but I think it's a really smart move on Marvel Comics, part because I don't think I've ever seen Marvel pair up with a major sporting event to where one of the actual athletes are wearing one of the costumes from the actual film that they're getting ready to launch. So I think that's a new frontier for them. Have you seen that before, either of you? Or the chat room, over in the chat room?
I haven't. I think maybe it was more of just really, really good timing.
Ah, yes.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Because,
that's true.
The Winter Olympics comes every 2 years.
Yeah.
And you have to find something that fits perfectly to be able to tie it into the Olympics and make it work with whatever character is going to be pushing at that time.
Yeah.
So I think it was just all cards fell at the table at the right time, and they just went forward with it.
You know one thing I'm really thankful for, Lindsay?
What's that?
I don't have to wear that ski suit.
Oh.
Because let me tell you, people will be clicking off their TV set faster than you. Be like, my God.
Let's just hope. I don't know if her event already went or not, but let's just hope she did well.
I hope she did. We're rooting for you, Michaela. We love you, Michaela. Bring home the gold.
I don't know if she's performed or not yet, but I really hope for the best.
All right, Austin Burke, what do you got for us, man?
All right, we're moving on to something completely different. Ultraman is definitely one of the most renowned series in Japan and worldwide, and now the giant hero will be making its way into the world of anime with a crisp new look. Announced back at Tokyo Comic-Con 2017, an anime adaptation of Ultraman manga is coming in 2019 and will be produced by Production IG and Sola Digital Arts. Now, Ultraman is so cool. Mike,
Yeah.
so cool. And I
Yeah.
love anime. If you can do Japanese anime right, some of the best animated movies and television series of all time. So this is really cool. And I think this is what they need. They're going to nail it. They're going to nail it. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think if it's done right, like you said, Ultraman is a huge phenom over there in Japan, because we're talking about something that's spanning like 50, 60 years of pop culture. And, you know, a lot of these characters that were on television, now if you go back and see them, you know, of course they're going to be a lot cheesier than they are today. It's the same thing with Doctor Who or any other franchise. But today, Ultraman is such a huge character, it's almost up to the level of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where you have the fight and you know the Power Rangers come together to form the giant robot and all that. So I think with that said, Ultraman going into the anime field, and there has been Ultraman animes before, but I think this is going to be headed up by an all-new digital production, digital arts firm, and I think that they're going to be doing an awesome thing with it. And I'm glad to see that manga is actually still something that's very current, very, very fluent, very pop culture, and it is still thriving even today, almost 50 years into it. And it's still something that is just, everybody just loses their stuff over it because it's so awesome and just well written and well drew. So
absolutely, and they're all gorgeous.
And we actually did a history of Power Rangers just about a few months ago, right when the Power Rangers film came out last summer, and we went back all the way back to the 50s when it was in black and white. And how did it form? We need to do that for Ultraman. How did it start? You know, who was the originators of that? So maybe food for thought. But I don't know.
Okay, cool.
All right. Hey. I have no idea. All right.
Well, we're gonna shake up the topics again a little bit, and we're gonna shift back over to Stranger Things world.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
All the fans are still patiently waiting to learn about when they're gonna finally get their third season. Come on, Netflix, get with it, right? Unfortunately, the new season is going to be slightly shorter than season 2.
No.
I'm so sad.
Daggone it.
This is starting to turn out to be like a Game of Thrones sort of thing. The upcoming season will consist of 8 episodes, while last season 9. It's unclear whether the decision will be narratively based or if the last year's extended season caused the Duffer Brothers to change their approach.
Episode 7.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Chicago.
Many of the series' main cast members are returning, yet the show's creators promised they weren't going to terrorize the character of Will Byers quite as much. Thank goodness.
Poor Will.
That kid never gets a break, does he? We're going to give Will a break, director Sean Levy says. We're not going to put Will through the hell for a 3rd season in a row.
He'll
be dealing with stuff, but it won't be rock bottom the way we forced the amazing Noah Schnapp to play.
Oh my gosh. So
he's going to get a breather. Somebody else will have to pick it up. I'm thinking that 11's going to take a little bit more of the heat this next season, because she's already, threw the rock in the monster's eye, per se. And so you don't mess with the bear.
Well, it's kind of funny that Stranger Things was on this week's news topic. I was actually recently gifted a 4K copy of Stranger Things. And so for dinner tonight, my wife and I sat down to watch season 1, episode 1, and I forgot how epically awesome the first 10 minutes of that show is. And if you forget, you easily can forget season 1, episode 1 very quickly, because it's the one where Will Byers is abducted by the Demogorgon. And you go back and you see him in that little cabin, that little shack out back in his backyard, and how the Demogorgon just comes and just manifests behind him. Dude, it's so trippy. And to see that in 4K, if you've never seen Stranger Things in 4K,
my goodness.
Oh my God, it's glorious. It is glorious. It is glorious in true native 4K. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, season 3, I'm excited. You know, they did Defenders in 8 episodes.
That's true. Yeah, they did. And you know what? I think that there were problems with the Defenders, but one of the things that I loved about it, is that it was shorter than the other series. So I think 8 episodes, and like I said, guys, episode 7 of Stranger Things season 2 it just doesn't work for me.
That was
And
a little
you
weird.
take out that episode, and it's like, oh, a compact 8-episode season. Maybe it's good news.
You know,
We'll
no,
see.
they could have introduced the tribe of kids that were the powered kids or the mutant kids in a different way, and not actually have an entire episode.
I think they could have eased us in a little bit instead of the full cold plunge. You know?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's
so,
where most people get uneasy about it.
Now for the last one of the week, I want to ask you guys a question, and this was a question that was brought to my attention just recently. Have you heard about the Transformers reboot? Not
Who's
including
directing
Michael
it?
Bay.
Not including Michael Bay, I'm for it.
Yeah. So Austin is crying.
If we can
Praise
do
Jesus.
less, if we could do less spinning,
No.
and we could do less Michael Bay,
Now
then I'll be okay with
the
it.
rumor has it, and this is coming straight from HeroHype.com, is that the Transformers after the Bumblebee solo film is going to get an entire revamp.
See ya.
Austin, you were so
Jeez.
funny. So I
Sorry,
want to
man.
ask you, and I'm going to start with Austin first. What are your thoughts on a Transformers reboot?
My mind is racing 1,000 miles per hour. I'm just so happy right now. I hate them. They're garbage. But that's just my opinion. Listen, some people might enjoy the movies. They make a lot of money, but they're complete dumpster fires. The first one was okay. Look, the first one I actually genuinely enjoyed the first Transformers movie.
Dumpster fire.
And then they just keep happening. It's like it's like in the summertime, you just keep getting bit by mosquitoes, but you have to stay out. They just keep biting. You're like, will you just stop biting? Yet people pay for it.
Oh. Wow.
But Bumblebee might be good because Michael Bay's not involved. But this is really exciting. I think the fact that we're getting a reboot could be cool. Maybe they go the animation route. Maybe they go the more realistic route.
Yeah, we don't need giant robots with 40,000 structures coming out of his abdomen. We need. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, so it looks. You know what I'm going with this right here. Yes, don't need that. We just need Optimus Prime to look like freaking Optimus Prime. And not like a Power Ranger.
Nearly as much product placement.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's.
I wanted to vomit with the
I actually
amount
think he got more money.
in the first movie.
He got more money on the product placement than he probably did on the ticket sales.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
I love how everything can tie back to us hating the Transformers. Like everything.
Oh man.
It's the new Kevin Bacon.
Oh man.
Poor Kevin Bacon.
So,
oh,
well, listen, guys. Since Mike is not here this week, we can't do the hit it of the week because we can't show visually what the picture is.
Aww.
No,
Can't hit
right?
it.
Can't hit
There's
it.
no hit.
There's no hit it. Nope. So we are actually going to transition right on into this week's topic, which is the Black Panther.
The Black Panther.
What
Roll
did
that
they-
beautiful spoiler one.
Yeah, let me roll the spoiler warning. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. Black Panther's coming to you right now.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned. You have been warned. In a world where T'Challa combines with Cybertron. No, I'm just messing with you. Hey, it could happen.
Where they find the cube within the mountain.
Autobots roll out. T'Challa engage.
Everything ties back. Everything. It's Transformers.
Oh man, so yeah, it's gonna be really great. So we have a mixed panel here tonight. I need to say that first and foremost. So Austin, and I, we all three have a different perspective on the film. They're all really good perspectives, so don't get me wrong. It's just three different people from three different walks of life looking at the film, and we're trying to make an assumption about it. So I'm going to actually go first this time, if that's cool. I want to try to lead the reins on it. Yes. So instead of like picking, I'm gonna get my bantering out of the way so everybody can like. Joe talks too much. Shut up, Joe. But I think honestly, for me, I did see the film twice this weekend, and I have to say I felt so awesome and empowered. Just a cultural film that I think was timely, was evident, was done beautifully. And I think, honestly, it's a film that the black community really, truly deserves and can rally behind, because there's so many references and so many wonderful nods to the great civilizations and just everything that has happened. And, even coming out of Oakland, I mean, there's so many awesome artists that have came out of Oakland and just all those areas. So you think about that, and then we get into the roots and the meat and potatoes of the film, and even that is embedded in the film as well. And just hands-off, awesome done production by Marvel Studios. And one of the things I love about it is they keep stepping it up. Each time you see a film, one of these solo origin story films like Doctor Strange or Ant-Man, you see these origin story films and you're like, okay, so how can Marvel go up another notch? And for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the African culture and the African music, because as you know, a lot of people don't know out there, I worked for 12 years for Blue Man Group. And Blue Man Group is a very tribal percussion, didgeridoo style. It was kind of made like the Blue Man is a shaman, and we get to experience his world for that 2 hours in the theater. Yeah. So you think about that, and going in here and just the music, I mean, it was just... there were some notes that was sang by some of the leads in some of the soundtrack things. It just literally made me have chills on my arms. I'm like, wow. Yeah. I don't want to say it felt like Lion King, but there were moments when the artists were just wailing and just doing these high notes, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is the most beautiful thing I think I've ever heard in my life. Beautiful soundtrack. And then they combine it with a little bit more of the hip hop and the urban vibe, and I thought it was a beautiful blend between the two. I thought it was a great mix and mash, very well done. And for Marvel to highlight the black community in such a way and give them such a resounding presence, I love it. I love it because they did it with flair, taste, culture, color, vibe, music, score, actors, performers. Roots, origin, everything is in this movie. And for me, honestly, I was sitting there trying to watch this movie, and I was looking at all the amazing decor on some of the tribes of Wakanda, and I'm like, this is probably one of the most best costume things I've seen. I mean, Thor Ragnarok, hands down, had some great costumes, but this, I mean, Thor Ragnarok was more cosmic. It was on another planet, and we had the Grandmaster doing all of his things, but here, this Wakanda's here in Africa. Wakanda resides here on Earth, and I think that they stuck with that, and they looked at the tribes of Africa, and they looked at all the different cultures, and they combined all those elements into the 5 tribes of Wakanda. And for me personally, I thought that was just so beautifully well done. And so, long story short, I'm gonna end my bantering soon. I thought that the first 2 hours of the film for me were just truly powerful, and possibly one of the best written villains in a movie that I've seen in a long time, because he was actually related to the hero and the family of the hero. Instead of being an outsider, he was actually an insider, born into a role that he did not ask to be born into, thus creating Killmonger. Yes. And so I thought that was like, wow, that is a really deep origin story for Killmonger. They really did that pretty awesome. And so with that said, I have to say I was a little disappointed. Like, the fight between T'Challa and Killmonger was actually a little more quicker than I wanted it to be, because you have all this build up, and you're introduced to Killmonger within the first 20 minutes of the film, and he is this force to be reckoned with. I mean, he can destroy entire democracies and countries and cultures. Just look at the notches on his body that from all the kills he's had. And then, he ends up with this one fell swoop with the knife and these magnetized things on the train rail that deactivates his suit, so Black Panther can go in. And I thought it was a very quick kill. I thought it was like, if you're in the mind of Killmonger, you would have foreseen that happen, because he's been in so many wars and so many battles. He just knows. He can predict what his enemy is going to do. And I just thought that was like a kind of cliche ending for Marvel. So But for me, I thought it was, aside from that, visually, soundtrack, actors, performers, Forrest Whitaker. Oh my gosh, I love Forrest Whitaker. I'm a huge fan of Forrest Whitaker. And so I thought it was great. I thought it was beautifully done. One of my favorite films in recent years for Marvel Comics. So, and I want to go to Austin Burke.
Oh, buddy. Oh, man. Joe, every point you made, I'm just like, preach, brother. Come on, baby. Just keep going. No, Black Panther I was actually really worried about it because it's the highest rated superhero movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the highest rated Marvel movie on Metacritic and CinemaScore, and you name it. Now, we talked about it before. You look at the Rotten Tomatoes audience score, you had the group of 2,000, 3,000 people go in there and give it 1 star. It's about a 75%. We're not going to pay attention to that. Otherwise, the expectations going into this movie were monumental. Also, because I think Ryan Coogler, who brought us Fruitvale Station and Creed, is one of the most talented people. You look at his age, and then you look at his resume. Those two things do not match up. This is a resume of a 65-year-old filmmaker. This guy has 3 monumentally phenomenal movies. And I said 3 because I think Black Panther just adds to what he has already done.
Well, Creed, man. Stop at Creed, dude. Creed is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I mean, our last show, it was just one of those movies. It's once in a decade when it comes to fight films. Well, this is once in a decade when it comes to superhero movies. And I'm not saying this is the best MCU movie because I don't think it is. But I do think it's the best MCU origin story for a single character because I have never been so immersed in a world, not just a character, because what this movie does beautifully is it builds up Wakanda as its own character. It gives you that culture. It gives you every individual person plays their part within the role of this film, but also within the role of that society. And you know, they're in their own little bubble. They're doing their own thing. And the way that he portrays this, and I think the real star of this movie is Ryan Coogler, because the way that he portrays this to us sucks us in. They take an hour of this movie to suck us into this world. And frankly, that was the best hour for me because I could spend weeks watching this on screen. Give me a Wakanda Netflix series when Black Panther's not there. Like seriously, like I want this
like a
so
National
bad.
Geographic.
It was though. Yeah.
It's just so gorgeous, and I think that the technology, and now the fact that we're talking spoilers, I mean, I can say this now, the fact that that technology is not just in Wakanda, it's being spread across the world, I think gives them a level up on Thanos when he comes to Earth. This is how people are going to be saved, right? Now they have this technology to give them a little bit more of a defense.
Yeah.
We're still talking about the movie. I thought everyone played their part perfectly. Of course, Chadwick Boseman, but we need to talk about Michael B. Jordan and what he did as a villain.
Michael B. Jordan. Oh, my gosh.
My goodness. Does this not make up for Fantastic Four? But not just Michael B. Jordan, right? Andy Serkis comes in here and just kills the role, man.
Yeah.
He kills it. He's so crazy, so funny, and he just adds to a phenomenal male cast. And then you get to the females, some of the strongest, coolest, most BA female characters I've ever seen in a movie, not a superhero movie, in a movie. They were so cool. Joe, you've already talked about the music. It's fantastic. The way that they mix that culture with hip hop. Every time there was a fight scene, and I go specifically to the one when they're in the casino, and it's revolving around her with that big freaking spear. Yeah. And it's just playing that. I'm sitting here like, I have chills on my arms. I'm like, okay,
that's
who wrote the music for this?
Denai is actually a well-trained swordsmith and spear holder, and she's on The Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah, she's Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Oh my God, she is. Holy crap!
You didn't know that?
I didn't even put that together.
Holy cow! Yeah, man, that is Denai from Walking Dead. Just take off her dreadlocks, and that's Michonne, man.
No wonder I loved her then. Yeah, she's phenomenal. She actually, for a lot of people on Twitter, she stole the movie, and I can definitely see why. Because she's fantastic. But then I do have a couple of problems with the movie. My main problems are the CGI to me. Now, I watched it in XD on a big theater screen, and maybe I noticed some things that other people didn't notice, but there's some CGI parts in the third act. And it's just like, and I had the same problem with Thor Ragnarok, even though I loved that movie and I love this movie. but some of it just looks
rushed.
You remember Spider-Man 3 when Spider-Man and Venom are falling from the sky? Where there's a scene like that in this movie with Black Panther and Michael B. Jordan's character just kind of falling down, and I'm like, you could have done better there. You could have nailed it, because every battle before that final battle, and Joe, I kind of agree with you here. The final battle, a little rushed, little too CGI for me. I wanted more of a climactic emotional ending within the battle. Now we get the emotional ending at the end, and I know other people might disagree with me. I love the fact that he pulls the spear out and dies. I didn't want him to die because I want him to be in another movie, but to me that's what his character was all about. I'm not spending my life in a cage. If I can't be king, what's my purpose? Because I've trained my whole life for this moment. That the reason he beats Black Panther in that battle is because he has spent his entire life for that moment. Not because he's better than Black Panther, because this is what he has lived for, right? So this is his moment. This is what he needs to do. And then he throws Black Panther, and just one of the most epic, insane, amazing superhero scenes. Dude, I had so many chills. But that's the thing about this movie, and I need to kind of wrap this up because I can talk for forever.
Oh,
but
no, you're fine, dude.
It is so epic. It had me on edge. Both times I watched the movie twice. The second time I watched it, the CGI, it still bothered me, but I watched it on a smaller screen, and I honestly think that helped because I didn't notice it as much. But like I said, the problems were still there. But I was so sucked into this movie, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, don't base your movie off of what the culture is, right? Don't say, oh, I love this movie because it's an all-black cast, blah blah blah." See, that's not what we're doing. I love this movie because the culture of the film impacted me.
It touched
us, not because I want to give it a good review because blah blah blah. Because this culture and this world sucked me in from the beginning, and I wasn't off board until I was walking out after both end credit scenes. And that's why I just loved this movie so much. It's one of my favorite superhero movies of the last 365 days. It's just fantastic to me. So those are my thoughts.
Awesome.
Nice.
Miss Lindsay Badger, you're up.
All right, guys. I'm not going to hate on the movie. I'm going to tell you, I agree with everything that both of you guys said. I think that it was a very well done movie. I think that everybody should go out and see it. I do have a little more nitpicky things that's more of personal preference than actual literal movie. I've kind of looked at this two different ways, as more of a constructive criticism way and then more of a personal preference way. And constructive criticism way, I don't really have a lot of hatred or negative things to say. I loved the costumes were gorgeous. They were so fantastically done. I loved all of the neat tech and science that they introduced into the story that wasn't necessarily what I felt as repeats. They were more creative on how they were introduced and used to help the heroes in the story get what they needed to get done. The graphics didn't bother me too much. I really thought that they were fantastic. And tell you what, Everett Ross, or Martin Freeman, I like to call him Agent Hobbit because I can't get past not being a Hobbit. Agent Bilbo Baggins. I loved his character. And you know why? Because he is not your standard CIA agent. He does not have a stick up his butt. He's an actual, real, down-to-earth person that has a reality check on what is going on. Even though he knows he has duty to his country and he has things that he needs to do to fulfill his job, he also sees the other side.
But he also risked his own life, too, to save the ships from taking the vibranium illegally out of Wakanda.
Yes.
One thing I love about that, just real quick, is that really kind of, because you have expectations, oh, well, he's obviously going to die in this scene. And then he doesn't. No, that was so clever in my opinion. I did not expect that.
He kind of saved the day in a way, which is fantastic. I loved how his character played out. It was really a nice breath of fresh air character to pull into the MCU, even as a minor character. I assume he's going to show up somewhere else in the future.
Oh yeah, he has to.
also Shuri, kid sister to Black Panther.
Love her.
Awesome.
Shined for me. I loved her sassiness. I loved how she always picked on the big brother and always kept him match for match on what she was, working on, and kept him on his toes. And that actually kind of kept me engaged in the storyline, where there was some parts that I was kind of starting to lose interest in. Yeah. She would pop in with, like at the tribal scene, she would say smart ass stuff. That was funny.
She's so funny.
So I really appreciated her character throughout the entire movie, and how she's not just a little sister. She can hold her own.
Oh yeah,
she's genius. Sure. She's so smart. My goodness,
smart genius, but she can also use a sword. So I loved her as an all around character. Just to pull out a couple of things I really didn't like, and this was more personal preference than actual pieces putting the puzzle together necessarily. I'm not a huge African tribal music fan, you guys. Honestly, I feel like I'm at a preschool listening to a recorder concert, and I want to stab my ears when I hear African music.
Whoa, that's a little more descriptive than we needed to be there.
I'm sorry, and it's just,
gee whiz.
And it has nothing to do with, it totally fits the culture. It fits the story.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it wasn't right to use it. It's just something
it's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's your personal preference. Yeah.
It was kind of was a turnoff for me.
Garth
so maybe,
Brooks or Lady Smith Black Mambazo.
Throwing a little bit of Justin Timberlake, I might be okay with that.
Oh my God.
It does not fit at all. If they did that, I would be sad. But
Lord.
That was just my personal preference. In the casino fight scene, that was a really cool fight scene, but I couldn't get over the fact that it sounded like there was a car alarm going off.
I love that.
During the whole fight scene.
I love that sound.
That was my favorite part of the.
Yeah, that fight scene was dope.
I think the music made the fight scene.
If it was muted, I would have liked it better.
No, I think the music made the fight scene.
Lindsay Badger,
yes.
God.
If it was muted, I would have liked it better. It was so bad. It was distracting.
Jeez, that's like a sandpaper enema right there. Gee whiz.
Okay, couple more, and then I'll be done. I swear.
Okay.
I'm not going to brutally murder this, but
I'll go for it, Lindsay.
Can we talk about the Mufasa moments? And by that, I say, how many times do we have to go to the ancestral plane and talk to Daddy?
Oh, I love that.
3.
Oh, I loved it.
He does that. He does that quite a bit in the comics, actually, because he gets a lot of.
I felt like we were visiting the clouds. Mufasa was coming to say Simba.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Lindsay.
And then I was like, okay, when's the yellow submarine going to show up? Because we keep taking these trips, you guys. And you have to be buried in sand or snow or concrete, gravel. I don't know what next they're going to bury him in.
Please direct all hate mail to LR Badger at Twitter.
You can't have a good trip without being buried. So, I respect the storyline. There were little things that just drove me mad crazy about this. I was like, okay, this is crazy. And the predictability of the ape tribe at the end, where they said they wouldn't help kind of fight the bad guys, and then they showed up. I was like, come on, you know this was going to happen.
But I would have been so mad if they wouldn't have showed up. If they wouldn't have showed up, I would have said, why didn't they show up? Because it made the fight scene. You know, it made and that moment when Manape just holds that guy up. I'm like,
my gosh. Okay, so I do appreciate the girl power moment where she had that spear up and everybody stood down. That was totally a girl power moment. I appreciated that. And Black Panther overall as a king was fantastic because he had a good balance. He was a good man that had he lived on grace. Yeah. He wanted everybody to get the benefit of the doubt. Everybody's originally a good person, regardless of all the bad things they've done. And I think that is probably the most touching thing that I took away from that is his real, true heart.
Mm-hmm.
He's the ultimate leader.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he's not all about the power trip. He just takes the power that was given to him and uses it for the best of his life.
Darth Baca said over in the chat room, he said, but why didn't they show the Soul Stone? Well, the Soul Stone's already been revealed, Darth Baca, if you go back to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in the end scene credits, that is in the heart of Adam Warlock.
Yes.
That's another point that I had. I love how this movie didn't have to tie in to the other. You know, we get the post-credit sting with Bucky. That's awesome. Of course it is, even though I think they could have handled that scene a little bit better, but it was still really cool. But they didn't feel the need to really tie this in, you know, bring in another hero in Infinity Stone, mention Iron Man floating up in the sky, whatever. It's its own thing, and that's the beauty of Wakanda to me. It's its own little world. Obviously, now people know about it, but I still think we're going to get more adventures in this city, and I'm really excited for that.
Well, and even so, with knowing what the future holds for the MCU and seeing the trailers and whatnot for Infinity Wars, you already know that Black Panther's going to live.
Yeah.
For sure.
Waterfall, you know he's going to come back somehow. You know,
absolutely.
That kind of stuff. So that's a little bit of a buzzkill, but it was still really a good ending.
Yeah,
for me.
I love how it did tie a lot of things together, especially with Austin. You had mentioned Bucky Barnes, and we see now, we understand something very different about vibranium. We didn't really understand before, is that it is a microtech metal that not only defends things like bullets or can absorb the energy of a explosion or a grenade or whatever, but it also can restore as well. And we see that in Martin Freeman's character. When he's hurt, his spine is restored using vibranium. And so with that, we understand that vibranium can be used. And, you know, we're going to get the moment in Infinity War when Bucky walks out and his whole arm is made of vibranium. And you're going to be like, oh, my God, you know, this is going to be lit. Now, did any of you happen to notice the colors that Bucky was wearing when he came out of the hut?
No, I didn't.
He was wearing red, white, and blue.
Oh, no. No, okay.
He had a red shawl. Yeah. Again, foreshadowing to Captain America. It is.
Or is it? Oh, could that be foreshadowing that something's going to happen to? No.
Of course, it's foreshadowing.
In Infinity Wars, he's not wearing anything red, white, or blue. The cap's not.
So.
Even his shield is black.
And that was by the way, if you didn't get Shuri's reference, great, another white man we have to fix. They were talking about Winter Soldier in that. Awesome. That was a Winter Soldier drop for sure. And we finally got to see Ulysses claw his arm cannon finally.
I loved that. That was so great.
That was pretty cool, and the fact he hung out of the car and disintegrated. He was hanging out of this SUV and he disintegrated an entire vehicle with one blast. And she's like running down the street and she's still holding the steering wheel.
That was a great gag. That was a great gag. I didn't expect that. I thought something happened to her. And then
I didn't hear she just comes down the hill, still holding the wheel, and looks up. It's like, what the heck just happened?
So awesome.
But, I mean, as you can see, you know, one of the things that we are kind of a split panel tonight on the film, but I think too it goes back to preference. And you know, there's a lot of things in the film that if you're not a fan of that music and tribal music, you may not like the Blue Man Group. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I don't mind Blue Man Group.
But I would definitely say, like, if you have any like comments or questions, definitely direct them to LR Badger on Twitter. I'm just messing with you, Badger. I'm just.
Let me go close that account real quick.
Get on there and click that in there.
We're gonna edit the end of the show.
Hey, Lindsay, as we always say, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And I mean, I didn't expect some of those opinions, but it's a cool viewpoint. I mean, it's stuff that I've not heard.
And like I said at the beginning, I don't hate it. There's
it's just personal preferences.
You know what you should do, Lindsay? You should mute the film the next time you watch it and put on Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd.
No. I'm going to do Yellow Submarine because you know all those heart-shaped herbs being all up in here.
Lucy in the sky,
the
diamonds. All right, anyway. All right, so, guys, we're at the, oh my God, can you believe it's almost 10 o'clock?
That flew by.
Dude, that
Seriously.
is freaking crazy. All right, so we need to give our score before we go off the air.
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
so we're going to start in the order that we went tonight on sharing it. So I want to share my score. When I first saw it on Thursday night, I gave it a really solid 91%, kind of in that range. I was like, man, that is... I went and saw it again with my wife on Saturday night, and kind of... The CGI didn't really bother me, like you were talking about, Austin. That didn't really bother me. I know anytime you do CGI, there is still imperfections. CGI is still not perfected unless
the Uncanny Valley.
Unless you're Industrial Light and Magic. I'm just saying. But for me, that didn't really bother me. I can get past that because then again, you got to remember it is a comic book, so
for sure
it can look like a cartoon,
For sure.
So I think honestly, for me, that was okay. But the ending, the battle with Killmonger and him being killed off so quickly with the buildup of 2 hours of buildup of this amazing storyline and his connection to the Wakanda family, the throne of the family. I just felt that was a quick jab to the gut, no pun intended. So my final score is going to be I'm going to do an 85% on Black Panther.
85. That's still a fantastic score, man. I mean, it's a movie for me. I've watched it twice, and I could probably go watch it a couple more times in the theater.
I absolutely could too. Absolutely.
And it's just one of those movies that every time I watch, oh, that's cool, baby.
Isn't that pretty? That's
where's that straw going?
But the straw.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So here, I'll give you.
It looks odd.
Here, I'll give you a visual. Okay.
There you go.
Oh my.
That is nice.
I
like that.
That is so wrong. I am so sorry, everybody, for that right there.
Okay,
That's a thirst quencher right there.
Yeah, that right there that'll make you get up and pee. But look, right there was probably one of my favorite characters of the movie.
She was great.
Denai.
She was phenomenal.
Denai did amazing.
Just look at the cup, right?
Yeah.
There are so many characters in this movie that one, I'm excited to see in Infinity War. And two, I want a Black Panther sequel, and I want Ryan Coogler to come back. It's one of those movies that's just and just look at that suit.
I can see that happening.
And look at he's just.
It's awesome looking, man.
It's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Is he at this point? Is he Marvel's Batman? I know it's two completely different things, but you've got the rise to power with money, and
I think Tony Stark would be Marvel's Batman.
Yeah,
Tony Stark. I
I
agree
a little
with
less
that.
dark and brooding.
Well, see, that's the thing. Black Panther is darker and more brutal, and I don't know. I had I'm watching something super special from Marvel, and not that I'm comparing it to The Dark Knight, but I'm like, this is just such an awesome story about a singular character with a phenomenal villain. I mean, Killmonger, like we said, the guy people are comparing him to Loki. I mean, how many? Other than Michael Keaton's Vulture, nobody has really hit that status yet in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incredible. Like I said, it makes up for him being in the Fantastic Four movie. Yeah, but
I still think that he looks like a Wayans brother. Just saying.
I mean, he may have. It may be a Wayans brother, but he took so many acting classes before he went into this movie.
Darth Baca over in the chat room gave it a 95%.
He far surpasses Marlon Wayans. I'm just going to say that right now for anyone that thinks I really think that's Wayans brother. But their looks were uncanny. I was like, is that Marlon Wayans with makeup on?
That ain't right.
That's wrong on so many levels. Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry.
All right, so Austin, did you give your score yet, Austin?
Yeah, Darth Baca, I was going to say, I'm not right there with you, but I'm so close to you, man. I'm giving this movie a 91%. I was at 91 the first time. I think I'm going to stick to that. As for right now, it's entered my top 5 favorite MCU movies. It surpassed Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man Homecoming, 2 movies that I loved. So I think Black Panther is going to stand the test of time, and I hope everyone who hasn't seen it, even though you shouldn't be this far in the video, go out and see it. It's a blast.
Lindsay Badger, your score.
I'm not going to jab this movie anymore. I'm going to just throw it as a 6.5, and I will guarantee it will not be in any top 10s of mine.
All right. 65%. So we'll.
Hey, that's still fresh.
That's still pretty
fresh
good.
on Rotten
That's certified
Tomatoes.
fresh. Yeah.
That's not too bad, but it's not the worst. It's no Suicide Squad, that's for sure.
Thank God.
Suicide Squad. I don't know. That's your dumpster fire right there.
That is definitely
That's your dumpster
a
fire.
not so great movie.
Yeah, they're making another one too. So. Lord have
It's
mercy.
better.
Open the God, please. All right, so guys, that is it. And if you have actually went to the theater this year, this weekend, and seen the film for yourself and with your family, we would love to know what you thought about the movie. Leave us a comment below here on YouTube or tweet us at PopXcast and let us know what you thought about it and give us your score. If you are going to score it like Team PopX on 1 to 100, what would be your score? So let us know what your score is, and we'll actually retweet it. We retweet it this week. Oh my gosh, you can tell I've had a long day. I've been out in the sun. Look at this. I got sunburn all over my neck. Man. It's crazy.
Sunburn.
Yeah, sunburn in February. That Florida life, right? So. All right, guys. Well, man, we really nailed that and wrapped that up quick. My gosh, that's just crazy how fast an hour flies by, and you don't even really think about it. So,
absolutely, man.
Well, Team PopX, let's wrap this thing up and let's call this 72 in the books. All right. As always, if you see something exciting on the shelves at your comic book shop or in the theater and around geek culture in general, let us know on social media with your hashtag YoPopX. Now, if you go out to the theater, take a little selfie with the Black Panther poster, and then use the hashtag YoPopX, and we can use it, and we'll retweet it on our Instagram and Twitter accounts, okay? Now, if you use the hashtag, we will use it, so make sure you do that.
Yo, PopX! Also, we are part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network for all things even more geeky. Head over to GonnaGeek.com. Guys, I encourage you. There are some amazing podcasts in our home network, so go check them out if you love all things, not just movies.
Nice. And you can direct all hate mail to me at... No, I'm kidding.
Wow. Gee whiz.
Just kidding.
You got your invite.
If you guys would like to share your opinion with us or talk to us about anything else nerdy and geeky, make sure you check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest. Everywhere it's at PopXcast. Or you can email us at popxcast@gmail.com. Make sure to visit our website, popxcast.com, for any future or past shows as well.
I am Austin Burke at the Burkinator on the Stardust app as well as on YouTube. Go watch my Black Panther review, and if you're on my channel and you see a 50 Shades Freed review, you should probably click on that.
Oh, I'm going right after this show.
Oh my
We're
God.
talking dumpster fires. That's the ultimate one.
Oh no.
I don't know.
Click on it.
I'm going to have to watch that and give y'all my score later. All right. Well, you can find me, Lindsay Badger, at, as Joe said earlier, at LR Badger all over the internet, unless I shut down the account after this show.
Oh no. Deactivate.
Denied.
So I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts on the internet. Of course, hats off to amazing Team PopX. Mike, I know you're not here, but you're with us in spirit. We love you.
Yes.
And I'm happy that you're spending some quality time with your family here in Florida. And join us in 2 weeks as episode 73 as we dive into the origin story of Austin Burke. No, I'm just messing with you.
Well, let me tell you.
No, we're actually working. We're actually working up a PopX kind of I don't want to say exclusive, but we're going to be writing a show from scratch that's going to be a PopX exclusive, like an origin story. So be sure to tune in for that, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be timely, and it's going to be something that you are truly going to enjoy. I wish I could say more right now, but I have no idea what it's going to be, so I can't tell you that. And I don't want to lie to your face, but I can tell you, and I have a week to write it. So there we go. All right.
Okay, guys, should we close out the show with a Black Panther dance off?
No.
Did they do this thing and they're like, oh my gosh, this movie.
See, I got the hip thing going there. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go. You think they have any 11 p.m. showings?
Yeah.
Know what I'm doing tonight, guys. I know what I'm doing.
He's going back to the Panther. All right, guys, from all of us here at PopX, thanks for listening, thanks for downloading, and we will see you next time right here on episode 73 of PopXcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and subscribe for more great content. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.